This, although few participants have not joined yet, but time is it's already 2 o'clock. So let us begin the session. So you can see the screen?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Can see the screen, okay. Right. So we are going to have this workshop today, and I want to work more like in informal way rather than very formal discussion. So we will go through some basics of TBL, and then going through the process and the conduct. And following that, we would have hands-on exercise. We will have the individual readiness assurance test, as well as then group readiness assurance test and team application. So please be relaxed during this session, and you can ask question at any stage. You don't have to wait till the discussion is over. You can stop me anywhere, and we can discuss. Moreover, I would like that each one of us we should share our experience. So if you have been conducting team-based learning session, or you have an exposure and you have some experience, it would be nice if we can share that, right? And that would help us to improve, each one of us to improve. So at this stage, can I request all the participants to please mute yourself, because I can hear some background disturbance, right? Okay. Now, starting from what we actually want to achieve from this whole exercise, that's the learning outcomes. And I'll go through them first. So after attending this workshop, the participants would be able to, number one, explain the underlying principles of TBL approach in teaching and learning sessions. I wouldn't spend much time on that because there's a lot of theory, but to have at least the minimum and the basic concept about the principles of a TBL approach, because that would help us to describe the rationale of using this teaching learning approach. Then you will be able to compare the different teaching learning methods with the team-based learning, and I do expect that there might be some questions comparing it with other methods of teaching learning. The role of TBL, both teaching, learning, and assessment, as we know that TBL sessions can also be used to some degree to assess the students. So we will see how we can do that. And they describe the process of conduct of a TBL session. This, I think I'll take a bit more time on this, going into the details of the conduct of the process. And after this discussion, we will actually conduct the session. So it would help to understand it. And then is the conduct a TBL session effectively and efficiently, both face-to-face and online. And I will make sure that during the discussion, we cover both the aspects. What's the difference between face-to-face and online conduct of team-based learning? So these are the basic learning outcomes. But apart from that, there are some additional learning outcomes, and those are related to the learning material which I sent you, that is about the ethical care of the patient, and that would be a value added to this workshop. And by going through that and discussing it as an example in TBL, the participants will be able to explain the principles of patient ethical care and apply the principles of patient ethical care in clinical practice with confidence and clarity. I chose this chapter very consciously because I thought that we can have some additional benefits by choosing a topic which might be relevant to all or at least most of us about the ethics in the patient care. So with that background, let us start on the first task, that is the introduction to team-based learning. And here is the one very basic concept or basic point for TBL, not only for TBL, but I think for other what we call is flipped classroom approach, that the classroom time needs to be used for solving problems and not just transmittal of information. I think this is a wonderful thinking, that the best use of classroom time is the application of knowledge rather than telling the students about the different facts. We know that there are a lot of resources available, and students can get to those straight facts from number of resources. So the best use would be to actually apply those usefulness of those facts and the concepts and the phenomena that we discuss in the classroom. So that's the basic point. So the classroom is to see the application of knowledge rather than a transmittal of information. Now, this is the second concept, which is very much related to not only team-based learning, but to all of our teaching learning methods. And this is the concept of zone of proximal development. This concept was presented by this a Russian psychologist, his name Vygotsky. And what it says, let's say if we talk about the undergraduate teaching, so any topic we can divide into three portions. The first one, which is the easiest one, and which students can learn themselves. They may already know some of those components. Second is the area where students need help from others, maybe teachers or friends or peers, and also they might need some technological help to understand that. That is what is called the zone of proximal development. And there would be some component of that topic which may not be relevant at that particular stage of training of the students. Now, if we now consider these three components, the first component, which we think students can learn themselves, it's better to leave it for them to learn. Because if we are teaching that component, which would be boring for the students and would be wastage of time. So our concentration should be more on zone of proximal development. So the first portion is mainly the facts information, whereas zone of proximal development mainly concentrates on concepts and the phenomena, where really students need to understand. So what it means that instead of teaching concept, the facts, the figures, the names, our effort should be on teaching the concepts and the phenomena. And then because especially the team-based learning is about the application of concepts and phenomena. So once we teach that, and then if we are using team-based learning in the same session, we can see whether students can apply that knowledge or the concept. So this is an important concept, that our teaching effort should be focused on zone of proximal development. The third concept and the final in is this, which I want to explain before we go for TBL, is scaffolding. Scaffolding is a process in which teachers model or demonstrate how to solve a problem and then step back and offering support as needed. The important point here is that we should first demonstrate or explain whatever process or phenomena we want to discuss, and then let students apply that. And we are available to help and support the student as and when needed. The theory is that students are given the support they need while learning something new, they stand a better chance of using that knowledge independently. Means that we should help students only in the areas where they need the help. Otherwise, we should let them learn and apply that knowledge or information independently. So, support as needed. Scaffolding refers to a variety of instructional techniques. So this support can be provided in a number of ways. And the purpose is to move students progressively towards stronger understanding and ultimately greater independence in the learning process. So we help the students. First, that we are concentrating on zone of proximal development. Second, during that session, we help the students only when they need it. And otherwise, we let them work themselves. And this would give an extra confidence to the students and would help them to learn independently, and also would promote what we call is lifelong learning process. So these are three very basic concepts which I thought we should discuss first, and then because this would help us to understand and practice the team-based learning. So first is that classroom time should be used to apply the knowledge or concepts, number one. Number two, as a teacher, we should be concentrating on zone of proximal development. And thirdly, our role should be scaffolding, means that helping the students when they need the help rather than spoon feeding everything. Now, coming to the introduction to the team-based learning, here is the definition. Team-based learning is an active learning. That's one component. It's a small group instructional strategy. That's number two. It provides students with opportunities to apply conceptual knowledge through a sequence of activities that include individual work, group work, and immediate feedback. So basically, first, it is an active learning process. Number two, it's a small group instructional strategy. And number three, it is conducted in such a way that some activities are introduced or conducted, which provide opportunity to students to apply their knowledge. And this would be both at the individual level, which we call the individual readiness assurance test, and as well as at the team level. And when we go through this process, you will see how these activities are conducted. But that is the basic definition of team-based learning. So active learning process, small group session, involving some activities which help students to apply knowledge both at individual and team level. So these three major areas. So three key components. Number one, individual advanced student preparation. So means that because in the classroom, we are actually promoting the application of knowledge. So students must have that knowledge before they can apply. So that's why they have an advanced preparation. They are given an assignment or they are given an reading material before they come to the class. Like I requested you to go through that chapter on ethical patient care before coming to the TBL session. So that is the individual advanced student preparation. The second is the individual and group readiness assurance test. So before going to the application of knowledge, we have to make sure that students have understood that concept. So this individual readiness assurance test and group readiness assurance test makes sure that students have acquired the basic concept before they go to the third step, which is the application of knowledge. All right. So this is, in a way, summarizes the whole process of team-based learning. There's a student preparation, and then we assess the students' readiness, whether they have understood the concept. And once we are sure they have understood the concept, then we give them some scenarios, some situations where they have to apply that knowledge. So three basic processes which are conducted in a team-based learning. Yeah, this is the same thing which being explained in a different manner. There are three phases. Phase one, where is a pre-class individual study. Then phase two is that individual readiness assurance test, group readiness assurance test, and then discussion on that. And once we are sure that students now are familiar with the concepts, the third would be the application to see if students can apply that knowledge or that concept. Okay, now these are the steps which I'll go through this, and then we will discuss further on that. So step one is advanced assignment, which we have mentioned earlier, and as you people have gone through that chapter on ethical patient care, that is for students, and whereas for lecturers, they are required to prepare two sets of questions. So first set, and that is based on that article or whatever teaching material has been given. So for example, in patient ethical care chapter, as I have requested you to go through that. So at the same time, I have prepared two sets of questions from the same chapter. The first set of questions actually assesses the comprehension, the understanding, and this would be the individual readiness assurance test and group readiness assurance test. And if we use the Bloom taxonomy, that would be at C2 level. And then there would be another set of questions, which is about application and analysis and evaluating, and that would be at C3 to C5 level of Bloom's taxonomy. So that's the first step, and I think we have gone through that. You have gone through the assignment, and I have prepared the relevant questions. Step two is identification of small groups and group leaders. So when we start conducting this procedure, all the participants would be divided into groups. I plan to divide the groups, students in the four groups, and each group has to identify one spokesperson or a group leader who would respond as a spokesperson for the group. Third would be the individual readiness assurance test, which would use the first set of questions. Then the next would be the group readiness assurance test, and we will be using the same set of questions. Means that first the students and the participants would be answering those questions on individual basis. And then we will use the same set of questions, but this time the response would be from the group. This means that the group has to discuss and come to a consensus and a common answer to that. And then we will display those results of the group readiness assurance test. And then we discuss those and any confusion and any questions, because we want to make sure that all the participants understand that concept before actually go to the next step, which would be the team application. And team application would use the second set of questions, which is at the higher level based on the Bloom's taxonomy. So that would be the step 7. Step 8, again, the display of these results and then discussion on these answers. And then would be wrap-up sessions, which the lecturer is supposed to sum up the sessions and bringing the important points, in a way summarizing the session. And then debriefing, which is the feedback. And then is another component is appealing, that some students may have different opinion. For example, you may not agree with the so-called best answer, which a lecturer has proposed. So you can appeal against that. Or you might have objections to the question, that the question was ambiguous, is not clear. So you can also appeal against that, and then that would be discussed. And if students prove to be right, then they are given credit for that. So this is basically the quick steps. Now I'll go into a bit more detail of all these steps. So first, as I mentioned, student preparation. So students receive a list of learning activities, for example, a topic with learning outcomes and learning material. That is important. Everything which we are asking students to go through or prepare, it might be a reading material, it might be a video, it might be a practical or tutorial, or it might be even your previous lectures. But important is that we give the learning outcomes to the students. In a way, we are guiding the students that what they should learn from that material, or what would be the focus of their material. So reading material or activity, whatever, but with learning outcomes is sent to the students so that they can work on that before coming to the classroom. And so they have to come prepared for this. The lecturer, as I mentioned earlier, will, of course, plan the organization of the session, how the session is going to run. And as I mentioned, that they have to prepare the 2 sets of questions. But these questions should be valid and reliable. Sometimes we might need help from our colleagues to get their opinion about these questions. If we cannot have opportunity to vet all those questions thoroughly, but at least we can get opinion from our colleagues. So the first set of question, which is C2 level at comprehension, we will usually use the single best answer questions. So you can use 10 to 20 single best answer questions. for this purpose. And the second set of questions, which is at higher level, usually we use the extended matching type of questions, and you can have 3 to 5 questions. So these questions should be ready, and they should be checked for their validity and reliability before the session is conducted. Right now, if we are doing face-to-face team-based learning sessions, then we have to prepare some tables so that we can enter the results, the answers of the students, both in group readiness assurance test and team application test. Here is an example of such a table. Now, these are the teams. Let's say here 5 teams, and these are the questions which are single best answer questions, which we would use during the individual readiness assurance test or group readiness assurance test. And then we have the model answers given below this. So once students have answered those questions, we will put those answers here. And so now we know that the students' response and compare with them the model answer. And this table will give us an idea that which are the areas where students are having some difficulty, so that we can discuss that. But generally, when we discuss both right and wrong answers. Some basic rules of our just a minute, if I can. The how we want to make these small groups. So first is that we don't let the students make these groups, because if we let the students know, usually after going through 1 or 2 sessions, they will know the process, and usually students would make a group. One is of maybe the same people, and having somebody who they think is good and would always read the material before coming in. So they are seeking help from that. So we try not to let students decide this. We make the group ourselves. Second, we make sure that there is a diversity in the group, and make the group process transparent. Students should know what is the criteria of making this group, so that they cannot grumble about it. We can have this diversity in the way of mixing of high achievers and low achievers, and top 5 or bottom 5. We may think of gender mix, race mix, or discipline mix as different criteria. And then we maintain this group for a term or semester, because then it would help for a term or semester would help to develop a team work sense in the group. And then of course, students have to choose their leader or spokesperson, which may be the different person in every session. Our students may take turn to play that role. Now, the third is the individual readiness assurance test. And so each individual student completes a set of questions, which we mentioned that we will be using a single best answer question, 10 to 20 questions, and these focus on the concept, so that students are clear about the concept before they go for application of that concept. And so we will collect the results of this test if we are doing face-to-face, but it would be different if we are doing online, and we'll see that how we go about it when we conduct this process. The fourth step, which is the group readiness assurance test, would be using the same set of questions, but now students would be discussing those questions among themselves. They come to a common answer, and the spokesperson for that group would answer on behalf of the group. And then obviously, again, like IRET, the GRET results would be tabled and displayed and discussed. Apart from that, there are many other methods of this where the students can they present their answers. It can be show the card method, or it can be scratch cards. There are different methods, or it can be the what is a software available, the audience response system, which students can even install in their handphones and can be used as well. But once, if we are doing face-to-face and we are using the table, so table would appear like this. As you have seen earlier, the groups and the questions and their responses, and that they would be plotted. Now here we say that it's everybody is responding same, but here we have the different answers. So we would know that these are the areas where there is some confusion. So we would concentrate and explain that component, but as well as we will discuss the right answers, basically why you think is the right answer and why you think this is the wrong answer. The next step, the lecturer's clarification review. So based on this individual readiness assurance test and the group readiness assurance test, as I mentioned earlier here, this lecturer would know the areas which are problem areas, and lecturer now plays a major role here and explains those concepts. In case we do not want here the much activity by the students, because we want to save time for team application tests. So here lecturer is the major role, and they would explain why the right answer is right and why the wrong answers are wrong, and would make sure that students understand the concept and they are ready for the next step, which would be the team application test. Right? So because the team application test would present more complex problems as compared to the individual and group readiness assurance test. Right, so team application test is the most important step, and that's why we want to save time and spend more time on this step. Students in teams are presented with scenarios or vignettes which are related to extended matching question of type of questions. And these scenarios or vignettes are similar to the type of problem they will be facing during their career. So more realistic situation, more real problems. And these are the problems which students would be solving in the classroom by applying the knowledge which they have learned earlier. And that goes to our very first slide on TBL, that the classroom time should be used to solve the problems, to apply the knowledge and the concepts, rather than simply passing the information passively from teacher to the students. So this team application test, it follows what we call is 4S principle, the significant problem. The questions are the issues and the scenarios we are posing in this session should be significant, not minor prints. As I mentioned, they should be reflecting actually the real life situations which these students would be facing as a house officer, or as a medical officer, or later on. So there should be the significant problems. Each group or each team would be handling the same problem at the same time. So it would not be a different problem for different groups. Then third is these are not simply yes or no type of questions. They really assess the application of knowledge or the why of a concept. So more probing questions are used in the team application test as compared to individual readiness assurance test. And then students have to give the report at the same time so that they cannot change their mind by looking at the answers of the other team. Right. Now, students are in this team application test, students are challenged to make interpretations, calculations, predictions, analysis, synthesis of information. As I said, these are questions at the higher level based on Bloom's taxonomy, and students have to make a specific choice from a range of options, and that would illustrate their understanding of the concept being tested. Here we never ask them to produce a lengthy answer. These are still the multiple choice question type, because the session is not meant to write a paragraph or a lengthy answer. It's not an assignment. So again, this would be the similar to what was in group readiness assurance test. The table would appear similar, obviously with the different questions. So step 9 is the discussion. Now here is the major role is played by the students. Remember, I was mentioning that in group readiness assurance test, the major role is played by the teacher for explaining and to make sure that students understand the concept. But here now is the major role is played by the students. So lecturer mainly works as a facilitator, and students have to discuss openly and both points in favor of their answer or against other answers. The both right and wrong answers are discussed by the students among different teams, and the answering any queries by the students. So a minimum input by the lecturer. If students ask a question, the facilitator or lecturer would encourage other students to answer that question rather than lecturer answering that question. And then, of course, is the wrapping up session, and that would be conducted by the lecturer, and it is mainly to summarize the concept and its application. And then is the briefing, which is the feedback, both at individual and at team. And so we can share everybody's views, and then basically to improve the TBL sessions, right? And there could be peer evaluation, as I mentioned. That would be within a group among the students answering questions like, what is the single most valuable contribution this person has made to our team, and what else can be done about it? So that is the briefing session. And then is the appeal, as I mentioned earlier. If students have some reservation about the answers or type of questions, then they have to put up an appeal and give their opinion in writing with the appropriate references. And if students prove to be right, then they would be given a credit for that. So that is, and so students might take, let's say, sometime, maybe a few hours to submit that answer, their views, and lecturer have to go through that, and then the lecturer shouldn't take a long time to answer that. So the immediate next session, the lecturer would give their decision about the appeal of the students and what was the outcome. Then is the final wrap-up session. So, for example, if I want to give a wrap-up session on the article on the ethical, patient care, which you people have kindly gone through. So I would probably wrap up like this: so giving the gist of the whole thing, like the principles of beneficence. Uh, beneficence, medical practitioners should act in the best interest of the patient well-being. So basically, is the summarizing and giving those concepts which have been given in whatever teaching material is given. This is mainly to reinforce the concept and also to remove the doubts if any students have that. So the principles of beneficence and then the principles of non-maleficence, which going through this. So here is the medical practitioners must not harm the patient, and then the autonomy, the capable patients must be allowed to accept or refuse recommended medical. So this is simply an example that how, if you are conducting a team-based learning session on this topic and are using that chapter which I have shared with you, so this would be a kind of wrap-up session which would be expected from you as a facilitator of that session. Right. Now, then is the feedback, which I have mentioned earlier. And this feedback to the peers within the team, it can be on the whole process itself, whether how can we improve the whole process. Now, that is going through the steps or process of team-based learning. Now, before we go go through that hands-on activity of this TBL, there's one question I wish you to think about it. That you see, there was a big emphasis that students must read the material provided to them, or must have gone through whatever the assignment has been given before coming to the session. But obviously, there would be students who have not done that. So what do you think can be done, or how will you encourage students to come prepared for that session, or must go through the reading material? Because if they do not do that, then TBL is not going to be successful. So may I stop sharing now and ask your opinion to this question. So how would you make sure, what do you think that we can make sure that students come prepared for the session? They do not just come to the class blank.
Sir, if we can assign some marks for this preparation.
Right, okay, we can assign them some marks. That is Dr. Farzana, yes, that's sir. One. So one opinion is giving marks.
Sir, we can give a pre and a post test to the students.
That would be embedded in the TBL. Yes. Yeah, Dr. Ayed, yeah, I see your hands, and I understand that Dr. Ayed has extensive experience in TBL, and I'm hoping a big contribution from him so we can share his experience. Yes, Dr.
Thank you, Prof. I will just echo the suggestion of Mark's, specifically on the IRAT component, the Individual Readiness Assurance Test.
Right. Okay.
And the other, yes. And the mark is basically something minimal, 10%, 20%, not more, to contribute towards the summative assessment at the end of the module or semester. The other strategy I'm aware of and have tried is making the preparation material more appealing, as in multimedia, very short video clips, probably recorded by the teacher herself, something that makes the educational material, keeps it realistic within an attainable volume, however more appealing to the senses of addressing different styles and preferences of learners. Thank you.
Right. I will come back to this towards the end. I have some thoughts about it itself, but I think these are two very good suggestions. Now, Dr. Aisha, she has some opinion. Yes, Dr.
Yes,
Aisha.
so can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've tried two things in such sessions. One, I plan them ahead at least 4 weeks before the actual session is scheduled. And in those 4 weeks, we have WhatsApp groups of students. So I post questions in that group and stimulate them to go back to the reading material and answer them before the actual session is scheduled. And then still on the day of the session, there are some students, we keep a track on them, how many have studied. So there are still like something like 10, 15 students who are left behind and they have still not studied. So we give them 1 hour DSL before that session, during which they are provided the material and they are made to study it before the group actually goes into this exercise.
All right. So that seems very regimental approach. That's okay. Yeah, Professor Narendra. Yes.
Yeah. Please. So good afternoon, everyone. I think first I want to stress that the material should be very informative, interesting, and I think with question answer before. And the group should also be not much. The group is always to be up 10 to 20 students. And there should be interactive session and sensitization before the team-based workshop, and question answer it was streamlined also. And after that also there should be before team-based and after based, and then evaluation and feedback to the students also. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's yes. Basically, what I understand is informing the students about the importance of the preparation and of the session itself and the usefulness. Right. Dr. Nilofer, please. Nilofer Shaheen. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, there is a suggestion of using a software like AD Puzzle, in which an interesting interactive video can be shared with the students, and the progress is actually can be seen by the teacher, and it can be displayed to the students. So when the teacher comes into the class, so if their progress is displayed in the class, so students will be, they will be really on their toes. Not in a frightening manner. Sometimes it's really joyful to show that progress to the student. So if they know that a progress check is being kept, so they may prepare maybe better in the next session.
Right. I think those are very, very valuable opinions. And other could be a peer pressure. That the let's say, yes, if it's a group of 4 or 5 and 3 or 4 have prepared and 1 has not prepared, probably they would feel that they need to be more ready in the coming session. Right. I think that we got some very good suggestions. Now, next is our hands-on session, which I'm going to start. Do you need a few minutes to grab a cup of coffee so that we can start? Or you think we can go ahead straight? Yeah, if you want to take, just a cup of coffee or tea, because it's going to be a busy session, so you can have it. All right, now let's complete this one, and let me share it again. Okay. Okay, now I will go through very quickly just summarize the steps before we really do it hands-on. Can you see the screen? Screen visible to you? Yes.
Yes,
So these are the steps which are face-to-face, just summarizing what we have just mentioned. Advanced assignment, preparation of questions, identification of small groups and leaders, individual readiness assurance test, group readiness assurance test, and the clarification, and then the team application and display. So these are all steps which are applied in a face-to-face conduct of TBL session. So basically is a pre-reading of the students, preparation of questions, the using first set of questions for individual readiness assurance test, same set of questions for a group readiness assurance test, and then the discussion on that first set, then using the second set of questions for team application, and then discussion about it. When we want to do it online, which we would be doing just now, so we will use few softwares. One is WhatsApp. So please keep your WhatsApp open because I will be communicating to you through the WhatsApp. Then we can use, we already are using Zoom. So please don't exit from the Zoom. If you need to open a new window, you will not close Zoom, but you can open a new window within it. And third is that we use one of these, what the gaming, so-called gaming software, Multimeter or Kahoot or Socrative or Quizlet. I will be using Multimeter. So at this stage, we will be using WhatsApp, Multimeter, and the Zoom. All right. So keep your WhatsApp open. Don't exit from the Zoom. Multimeter, we will see how we are going to use it. Right. So the sequence of activities which we are going to do now is we have done this step already. Now the WhatsApp group. So all students and teachers in a WhatsApp group, and as you know, we have a WhatsApp group where all of you are there. So we will using the same group. Then is I will project these questions, and then I will send it to you through WhatsApp so that you can discuss among yourself. I will divide you into using the Zoom, this facility, into breakout rooms. So I will divide you into 4 groups, and in those groups you will discuss the questions, and then we will see how to answer that. This would be the IRAT and GRAT, right? And then later on, the same thing would be for the team application. All right. So, okay. All right. Now, first thing here is that let me open the Mentimeter. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, right. Okay. Now this is the first. Okay. Now what I want you to do is that you don't close your Zoom and you in your browser you type menti.com. In the new window, type menti.com. Everybody, please. And then you use this code 746173885.
Sir, we can only see your PPT.
No, you open a new window in the Zoom. What if you are using Chrome, you press that and open a new window. And then this in the URL place type menti.com.
Yes, already. But
Right.
the code?
Right. And then enter the code 74617385. Can you see the question there?
Sir, can you repeat the code, please?
Sorry?
Sir, can you repeat the code?
74617385. You can see it on your screen.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I
Right.
think if you can text it in the WhatsApp group, the code.
7461. Yeah, people are already answering that. 74613785. Okay.
Is that this sorry for but this presentation is no longer active?
Sorry?
Is that this presentation is no longer active?
Okay. Are you in menti.com?
Yes.
What code you have entered?
74617385.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, can you see on the screen people responding?
Yeah, but it said, sorry, but this presentation is no longer active.
Can you let's say try it again, go back and start menti.com again?
Sir, I can't open the new window.
No. Basically new window means that you do not close your Zoom and just if you are using Chrome, what
Chrome.
Yeah, so just press the Chrome and there would be a new URL place.
Press Chrome. Where is the Chrome?
Sorry? Have you been able to do that?
No, sir.
No.
Ma'am, you can join through Google, type Multimeter and add the code in that.
Okay.
It would be only to begin with difficult. After that, it would be very smooth. Anybody else having any problem? So question is, which one of the following statements correctly relates to the autonomy of the patient in medical ethics? Number one, are A, deciding what is best treatment for an illness the patient is suffering from. B, making sure that a specific treatment is safe for a particular patient. C, giving preferential treatment to one who needs it most over other patients, and respecting the patient's decision for discontinuing the treatment. I have got 13 responses on that. Are you still having problems?
Sir, the next question is not being shown on the screen.
No, yeah, I haven't shown next question yet because I want that everybody should be on board before we go on to the next one.
Okay.
I'm able to see what you told, Prof. I'm able to see all answers also.
Right. Yeah. So 15 people have already responded. Is there anybody who is having problem?
Yes, sir. I'm entering the Mentimeter through Google.
Okay. Okay. Just try that. Once we have gone through this first step, the others would be smooth. Only the first you may have some difficulty. Okay, Dr. Farzana.
Sir, I can't open it through Google also.
Dr. Farzana, it's so simple. You type in the search bar menti.com and you will get it, because I have also got it directly from that.
In Google?
Yes,
from
ma'am.
Google?
Yes, ma'am.
Or you can also just click the link that I pasted on the chat. It will open a new window for you and direct you directly to the link that we're seeing.
Okay, I got it.
All right, good. You see what a team we have here, the team sport. Okay, so right. So shall we move to the next question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. The next one, the second. Right. So then is the next one is okay. Which one of the following statements correctly implies the beneficence in medical ethics? To choose the cost-effective mode of treatment, to select a date of surgery that is most convenient for the patient, to avoid unnecessary intervention for treatment, to select a mode of treatment that supports the best use of available resources. Right? Beneficence. Number one, to choose the cost-effective mode of treatment. B, to select a date of surgery that is most convenient for the patient. C, to avoid unnecessary intervention for treatment. D, to select a mode of treatment that supports the best use of available resources. Remember the definition of beneficence. Right? Again, interesting, we have very different views here. Right? So majority of the participants have 11 of them have selected to select a mode of treatment that supports the best use of available resources. All right. Okay.
Yes.
So let's move on to the next. Okay. Okay, now you have a different code for this, right? If you see on your screen, there would be saying join another question. Press that and enter this code 15466544.
15466544.
Yes. Can you see it on your screen?
Sir,
Yes.
please repeat the code.
Can you see the code on the screen? On the top of the screen?
I can see the question on my screen.
The code is on top of that. 15466544.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, the code is there on that. Okay, so the question is that which one of the following statement correctly indicates the non-maleficence in medical ethics? A, let the patient choose the mode of treatment. B, choosing an intervention that improves the quality of life of the patient. C, choosing an antibiotic that has least possible side effects. D, referring a patient to a nearby facility to avoid the overstretching of existing resources. Okay. Is there anybody facing any problem in answering? We have this teething problem to begin with, but once we go through it, then it becomes very smooth. I can't hear you. The voice is breaking.
Answer, I am able to see everything, Prof. Answer is 12. I think for this question C.
Yeah,
12
12 people have answered. Is everybody able to see the screen?
Yes, I am able to see.
Right. Okay, we have 17 responses. Let's move. Sorry, your voice is breaking. Okay, let's move on to the next. Okay, the next question with the same code. Which one of the following statements correctly denotes the distributive justice in medical ethics? Can everybody see the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, Prof. we are able to see.
Right. So interestingly, again, different views. Distributive justice, helping patients to make an informed decision about the choice of investigation, weighing the benefits and risks of an intervention for prevention of a disease, getting full information about the adverse effects of a drug before prescribing it to the patient, making a policy not to ventilate extremely premature infants in a resource-limited neonatal intensive care unit. So which one of these statements correctly matches with distributive justice? So we have 17 answers, yes. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So for this set of questions, there is a new code given on the top of the screen. This is the third set of questions. Can everybody see that?
I'm able to see, Prof.
All right. Choose the ethical principle from the option list provided. Sorry, that's not the. Let me retrieve that question.
Can you
Just hold on. Just hold on. I pressed the wrong question. It should be I read. Let me share it again. Okay, can you see that?
I'm able to see.
Right.
5 number question.
Yeah, and the code is given on the top.
Sir, can you read the code, please?
All right, it's 4497.
4497.
2825.
Thank you.
So which one of the following statement correctly relates to the dignity in medical ethics? A medical student take permission from a patient before exposing his abdomen for performing physical examination. B, a physician informs a patient that he has a poor prognosis as he has developed multiple organ failure. C, a surgeon explains to the patient about 2 types of surgical procedures and asks him to choose one. D, an obstetrician refuses to accept a patient's request to perform cesarean section as she wants a painless delivery. Right? I have 12 responses so far, 13. Any more responses? Okay, 15.
Some of them are very close.
Sorry?
Some of the options are very close.
That's what we need to have, because this is a single best answer question. So each statement has to be correct to some extent.
Yes, and the students get to discuss this among their groups.
No, the next step is discussing. This is first is individual. So we are having individual readiness assurance test. Soon after this, we would have group readiness. So in that, as I mentioned, I will divide you in the groups, and then you will discuss in the group and come up with a common answer. So we have 17 responses already. Okay, so this is the last question in this session. Which one of the following statements correctly exemplifies the veracity in medical ethics? A surgeon informs his patient to prepare his will if he wants to, as he may not survive the life-saving procedure he will be going through. B, a consultant insists that his house staff must listen to everything, whatever a patient relative wants to say. C, a physician agrees with the patient to withdraw the life support if the surgical intervention fails to remove the brain tumor completely. D, an anesthetist makes sure that a patient's body is not exposed unnecessarily during the surgery. So which of these four statements really is an example of veracity in medical ethics? Okay, 4 responses, 6 so far, 9, 10. All right. Do you feel the questions are really searching? If
Very
you
good
say,
question, sir.
If you say yes, I will be very happy.
Yes, sir.
So I'm thinking that what are we going to do in the second test if this is not the application, if this is C2?
No, I will make sure that before we go to that, we will have very clear concepts. Okay.
But all these questions are for the clinical side, sir. Nothing for the basic side.
No, it's not. It's basically is understanding the ethics. It's nothing to do with the clinical.
No, I know that it's like understanding the ethics, but actually the scenarios we develop, it's easy to develop them for the clinical side as compared to for the basic side.
Yeah, basically medical ethics would apply more in the real practice.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why it seems more towards that. Okay.
Even generally, sir, I think questions like that relate to the respect for the prosected parts for the first and second year students for dissections or plagiarism in assignments and stuff like that, respect for other colleagues for in small group discussions and PBL, that would relate to the basic sciences as well.
Right. So this is what we have completed is individual readiness assurance test. And these questions were meant actually to see if the participants and the students, they have understood the concepts which have been given in the article which I sent to you. Now, what we are going to do, the next step is that I will divide you into 4 groups. So you would be in breakout rooms. Then I will WhatsApp these questions to all of you. So you will be able to discuss those questions in a group and we'll come to a common answer. And then we will come back to the main screen and I will pose the same questions again, but this time, rather than individual, the group spokesperson would answer that. What we hope during this breakout rooms that now you would discuss with each other and there would be a peer learning. Everyone would give their opinion. You can even, if you have time, quickly open that article and see and come to a common answer. Now, what we expect to do is that when you go into the group, please introduce yourself to each other and then choose a spokesperson and then you discuss those questions. You can actually, if you are familiar with Zoom, you can use the screen in the Zoom to project that questions and discuss. Any questions so far? Right? Okay, let me see if I can divide you in the groups.
Excuse me, Professor, I have a question. So will we
Yes.
be given like the list of the question again here in the chat, or so that we can have like precise wording of each questions, or how are we gonna look at the questions again?
The questions would be in your WhatsApp group.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so you will have the questions.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Walaikum assalam.
Can we have a short 10 minutes break before we go into breakout groups?
Okay, while I'm assigning you in the group, yeah, you can have a short break, but please don't exit from the Zoom. I'm just putting the names in the groups.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir, we were able to see the results on the Zoom screen when we were having that IRAT.
Right.
Sir, don't you think that this approach influences the individual's decision making?
Yes, you are right, but because online, because we are using this gaming, so that's the drawback. But for example, if you are doing face-to-face, then students would be answering and submitting their answer, so they won't be able to see each other's. But online, that becomes an issue. You are right.
Okay,
Also,
thank you,
the
sir.
lecturer
Sir,
can
I think please to stop sharing the screen if the
Yes,
lecturer.
sir. If you,
No.
sir, if you stop sharing your screen, then it won't be appear on our screens.
Yeah, but then
Answers.
that becomes another different then we have to present again we'll discuss this. Let me finish this assignment thing first. We will discuss inshallah. So I have assigned everybody in the room. Can everybody enter their room, the assigned room, please? Please join your rooms. Dr. Ayed, please join your room. Okay, Dr. Ayed has not joined his room. And okay, is everybody in your room?
Sir has shared in the WhatsApp group.
In WhatsApp group, it better.
Okay. How much time do we have? Actually, I immediately joined, so I didn't hear the instruction. Did they say any time? There is someone else. Oh, Dr. Alam.
Prof, we can hear you. You're mute. You're still mute.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, have you received the questions in your WhatsApp?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Let's do the thing that we should read each question and then we'll see what
Yeah,
everybody
you
says.
discuss among yourself. You have 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
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 So let's start. Just 1 minute. I'm opening my.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Have you received the questions in your WhatsApp?
Yeah. Got it.
Yes, check your WhatsApp. The questions are there. So you can open those questions and discuss with each other.
Right, so we have got them.
Right, okay, good.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
illness the patient is suffering from. Uh,
Yes,
that
why do you
is
think it is
considered.
there?
Yeah, that I was thinking that it could be. Though I have put it D, but I'm thinking that why not A as well? That is also an autonomy, right? Patient is allowed to choose the treatment.
Is everything okay in this group?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Prof.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
okay. Thank you.
Yes, patient can be asked or patient can be
Is everything okay in this group?
Sir, if you
Sir,
can kindly allow the screen sharing so we can just share the screen and display the questions.
No, you can share screen in your group.
no, sir, we can't because you have disabled the
Oh, okay,
participant to do the screen sharing.
let me see. Let me see it. Okay. Can you share it now?
Let me try. Oh, yes, sir, I can share it.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much. Thank you.
Good. So please discuss and choose a spokesperson for your group.
Dr. Busha, Dr. I you this one.
All right, okay. Okay.
Okay. Ihtisham, पढ़ लिया आपने?
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum, sir. Sir, we are going through the article as we go through the questions.
Cheating.
जी सर. क्योंकि अब इत्तिशाम हमारे साथ सर टेक्निकल सपोर्ट का बंदा था, वो आके बैठ गया इधर.
नहीं, अच्छा आप जो है इसको स्क्रीन शेयर कर सकते हो. So
अब
आपको
कर सकते हैं, ठीक.
हाँ
हमने दीजिए हम.
all right. Okay. Thank you.
on my side, what do others say? Can you hear me?
Are you people okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes,
So
okay. We are,
I can see that you are looking at the article.
Yes, sir. We have
yes,
shared
some
that in.
discussion.
So
We were actually divided.
yeah, so
Divided.
caught red-handed. Yeah.
So we just want to clear our concepts
Yeah,
which are.
sure, no problem. Because this is a learning session, no problem.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, please go on.
Yeah, I agree with C also for number 3.
I think I also go.
In the article that was shared itself, I think almost like half of the paragraph is talking about removing harm. And like the example that was given is also about death that is normally considered as harm and all that. And so I mean it's preventing and removing harm is also like part of the explanation of beneficence itself. I believe C could also be the right answer to this.
Hi, sorry to interrupt.
I-
Yeah, everything going okay?
Yeah, we think so.
Yeah, you can share the screen and project the question so that everybody can see that. In your group, you can share the screen.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
So we all agree.
So
D is
question
correct.
5 is, which one
Uh,
of the following statements correctly relates to the dignity in the medical ethics? A is medical students take permission from the patient before exposing his abdomen for performing physical examination. Do you think it fits into the dignity?
Yes,
yeah,
it fits
after
into
reading
the
all the
dignity.
4 answers, I
Yeah.
Is everything okay in this group?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Right.
We have done it.
I can see the highlighted responses.
Yes.
Right. Good.
एक्सट्रीमली ये है ना एक्सट्रीमली प्रीमेच्योर इन्फेंट अगर 26 से पहले हो तो उसकी तो वैसी भी सर्वाइवल के चांसेस बहुत
फिर
कम
भी
ही
एक
होते
एथिकल इशू तो होगा ना।
आपके ग्रुप में डिस्कशन बहुत हीटेड है।
बिल्कुल सर, इसमें जो डी वाले ऑप्शन में हम फंस गए हैं कि अगर हम वेंटिलेट नहीं करते तो प्रीमेच्योर इन्फेंट अभी अलाइव है तो हम उसका राइट टू लाइफ जो है वो जेपरडाइज कर रहे हैं, और अगर वेंटिलेट करते हैं तो लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज में दूसरों का राइट जा रहा है।
देखें क्या एट द एंड क्या बनता है।
आई फाइंड डी एक्सट्रीमली प्रीमेच्योर मैडम, ये लोग फिर 24 to 26 वीक्स
So you people have already finished. Two minutes more. So welcome back, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Prof, you are able
Yes,
to
sir.
hear.
I hope you enjoyed the discussion.
Yeah, it's
Right.
very interesting.
And hopefully you have agreed on the answers. So what we are going to do now is going to repeat what we have done in IRAT, but this time only one person from each group would be answering. So the group spokesperson would answer on behalf of the group. I hope some of you might have changed your opinion about your original answer based on the discussion, and that is the peer learning. That's the very important component of team-based learning, that we learn from each other after discussion. Okay, now I'm going to open that menti.com again, and this time, as I mentioned, that only group leader or group spokesperson would respond, right? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. So let me go to the first question. Can you see the question on the screen?
Yes.
Right. Now,
Yes, we can.
and the code number is on the top.
Yes,
So
sir.
I would expect that each group would answer this. So there would be, because there are 5 groups, so we expect 5 respondents. Please.
Dr. Bushra, you have to respond from our side.
Okay. Which one of the following statements correctly relates the autonomy of the patient in medical ethics? So far, one response only, respecting the patient's decision for discontinuing the treatment. Other respondents, please. Only one group responded. I hope others
Prof.
are not.
Sir,
Prof.
can you
Farzana,
repeat the
you can
code?
represent our group.
Sorry?
Sir, can you please repeat the code?
Yeah, it's. Can you see on the screen on the top? 74617385. It's on the top of the screen. Can you
Yes,
see
we
that?
are able to see. We are
Yeah.
able to see.
Yeah, so that's the code. Are you finding it difficult to respond, or you are still arguing on the answer? So 2, 3, okay, 4. I can see now everybody is picking up that respecting the patient's decision for discontinuing of the treatment is, of course, the autonomy of the patient. But let's look
Sir?
at this. Yeah.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Yes,
Sir, I'm finding it difficult to write the answer. Can Amir or Nilofer give the answer for my group?
Yeah, no problem. Any one person from the group can answer. That's not
Amir
it.
or Nilofer?
It's already 5.
Okay, Prof.
Right,
Farzana,
yeah.
I will do it.
All right.
Okay. You give the answers, Amir.
All right. Okay. Now let's look at number 1, the A, deciding what is the best treatment for an illness the patient is suffering from. Which ethical principle would be that?
Beneficence.
Beneficence. Good. Making sure that the specific treatment is safe for a particular patient. What ethical principle is that?
Non-maleficence.
Right. C, giving preferential treatment to one who needs it most over other patients.
Distribution
of
justice.
So this means that we, at least as far as this question is concerned, we understand the principles of ethical patient care, right? Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, which one of the following statement correctly implies the beneficence in medical ethics?
Okay, can I ask something?
Yes.
Okay, so we discussed this question at length in our group,
Mhm.
and still we were a little divided because both the answers we had equal number of votes.
Exactly.
Same here, sir.
Okay.
The options were very close.
But
We
this
were
was
able
very
to
closely
closely
questioned.
related.
Let's wait till all the groups have answered, then we will discuss.
So
Okay, sir.
again,
But
for
this is
my
the
group,
most
what
confusing
should I
part.
do? Like
Sorry?
2 of us should answer, one for that, or we should not?
Oh no. maybe you can toss.
We came 50-50 all the way.
The
majority was okay. Everyone, both of you can give your own answer, and then we'll see. So you are allowed to give an extra answer.
Okay. So, Prof. Narendra, you can choose A and I will do C. Is that okay? Prof?
Yeah. See.
Okay, so the question is beneficence. So number A, to choose the cost-effective mode of treatment. B, to select a date of surgery that is most convenient for the patient. To avoid unnecessary intervention for treatment. And to select a mode of treatment that supports best use of available resources. Now we see here the difference of opinion, and which is very interesting. Okay, let's see first those two which nobody has selected. To select the date of surgery that is most convenient for the patient is what at principle?
Autonomy.
Sorry, autonomy, yes.
Autonomy.
Right. Now, to select a mode of treatment that supports the best use of available resources.
Distribution of justice.
Distribution of justice. Okay. To avoid unnecessary intervention, we are avoiding the harm to the patient.
Harm to the patient.
Beneficence.
Right. So, to choose the cost-effective mode of treatment is benefit to whom?
The patient.
It's
The
the patient.
So again, now, what do you think is the correct answer? Where to A, right? So choose the cost-effective mode of treatment. To select a date of surgery that is most convenient for the patient is autonomy. To avoid unnecessary intervention for treatment, we are avoiding the harm. And to select a mode of treatment that supports the best use of available resources is distributive justice. So correct answer would be A, to choose the cost-effective mode of treatment, because that's the benefit to the patient. Right? Let's move on to next. Okay, now please use the new code given there on the top. Which one of the following statement is correctly indicates non-maleficence in medical ethics? Everybody can see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Amir, you are marking?
Yeah, I have marked the previous question, but for this, I'm not allowed yet. Okay.
You will have to refresh, Dr. Amir, because it's a new code.
So I got 4 responses. So seems everybody is agreeing on choosing an antibiotic that has least possible side effects. Of course, that would prevent the harm to the patient. So, okay, let the patient choose the mode of treatment. What ethics would be? What principle would it be?
Autonomy.
Sorry?
Autonomy.
B, choosing an intervention that improves the quality of life of the patient.
Beneficence.
Beneficence.
And D, referring a patient to nearby facility to avoid overstretching of existing resources.
Distribution of resources.
Right, distribution justice, right? Okay, good. The next one. Okay. Which one of the following statement correctly denotes distributive justice in medical ethics?
Prof. Farzana, can you vote for this question, because I cannot
Okay, I'll do it.
Cannot enter that.
I've done it, Dr. Amir and Dr.
Right.
Farzana.
Okay. So
Okay.
now everybody agrees with D, making a policy not to ventilate extremely premature infants in a resource-limited neonatal intensive care unit. Then, of course, that's the distributive justice. Now, A, helping patient to make an informed decision about the choice of investigation is
Autonomy.
right. Okay. Weighing the benefits and risks of an intervention for prevention of a disease.
Beneficence.
Beneficence. It's a beneficence. Getting full information about the adverse effects of a drug before prescribing to the patient.
Non-beneficence.
Good, good. So we agree on this. All right. So the next set of questions. Okay. Which one of the following this is a new set, so there would be a new code given on the top. Which one of the following statement correctly relates to the dignity in medical ethics?
Dr. Fika, can you also select with me this one? Because again, we were divided on this one.
Yes.
Okay, so we chose we were divided between A and D. So I will take A and you take D.
Okay, so we got the responses 5 in favor of A. A medical student takes permission from a patient before exposing his abdomen for performing physical examination. An obstetrician refuses to accept a patient's request to perform cesarean section as she wants a painless delivery. What would it be?
It is autonomy, I think, sir.
Do you think the obstetrician is trying to avoid unnecessary
Intervention.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Non-maleficence.
All right. Yeah, right. B, a
It
physician
can, sir, it can also be on the part of the dignity of the doctor to refuse a treatment that they think
right.
is not right.
Yeah, yes, you can look at it from that point of view as well. Yes. B, a physician informs a patient that he has a poor prognosis and he has developed multiple organ failure. What is that? Veracity. And C, a surgeon explains to the patient about 2 types of surgical procedures and asks him to choose one.
Autonomy.
Good. Okay, let's move to the final question. Okay.
So, sir, for the number 5, what's the correct answer?
Was the
A. It's the A.
It's A.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not respect for the patient.
Sorry. Okay, let's finish this question and I'll go back to that. Let's finish this one, then I'll go back to that. Okay, which one of the following statements correctly exemplifies the veracity in medical ethics? One more response. A surgeon informs his patient to prepare his will if he wants to, as he may not survive the life-saving procedure he will be going through. So that's the veracity. A consultant insists that his house staff must listen to everything, whatever a patient relative want to say. What would it be?
Dignity.
Dignity, right? C, a physician agrees with the patient to withdraw the life support if the surgical intervention fails to remove the brain tumor completely. What would it be?
Autonomy.
And anesthetist makes sure that a patient's body is not exposed unnecessarily during the surgery.
Dignity.
Right. Oh, okay, let's go to the question 5 because some query there. Okay, this is number 5. So the answer we agreed was A. Right? A medical students take permission from a patient before exposing his abdomen and performing physical examination is the dignity. So what was the question? Somebody
Why
has
not answer the 5 number? For what is the
number?
negative point in last?
No, no.
D answer.
Sorry, D.
D. What because
an
it applies to
obstetrician refuses to accept a patient's request to perform cesarean section as he wants a painless delivery. You can say that is the dignity of the obstetrician.
Yes.
But not for the patient. Because because the obstetrician is trying to prevent unnecessary intervention.
So,
Right?
so if the STEM had been more clear in this, that it's with regard to the patient's perspective, then this would be the A.
I think that's fair. That's fair comment. Yeah, that's fair comment. In future, I'll improve on that. Okay, so
because I think question, Prof, to me it's dignity for doctor, and it is safe for the patient also.
No, normal. No, Prof. We would say the normal delivery is safer than the cesarean section unless there is an indication. In this patient, there is no indication.
I think
Patient simply wants a painless delivery. That's not the indication.
It is.
Sorry, can't hear you.
Is the correct answer.
The breaking voice is breaking.
Because I think A is only for respect for the patient, because while the patient is not, I mean, anything that whether the patient conscious or unconscious, we will need to have to do the physical examination, right? So
Right.
I think because the patient is conscious, that's why we ask for permission. That's respect for the patient.
Yeah, that's the dignity. That's the dignity of the patient.
And so in most of the cases, when the dignity of the doctor is in conflict with the dignity of the patient, it usually ends up as non-maleficence, because it's against our dignity to go for a harmful decision for the patient.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Basically the priority is the patient. The benefit to the patient is the priority. Right. Okay. Had an interesting discussion. Okay, so we have finished our first part, and that is first was individual readiness assurance test. Second was group readiness assurance test. And by this time, we hope that every participant has a very clear concept about the medical ethics. So, and that's the purpose of all this exercise. Before we now present the problems where we see the actual application of these ethical principles. Any comments or question now before we go to the team application? Anybody has any comment? Dr. Ayat, you have any comment? Is it different than your previous experience, or is it same?
Thank you, Prof. And I like, I highlighted in the chat, I like the occasion where question 5 triggered how appeal works in team-based learning.
Right.
And the nice way you've handled the discussion by allowing people to share their opinion, but also comment on the fact that this question may need a rephrasing to be clearer. But it was very nice to see the through the appeal process how people could contribute, and everybody is learning at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's Dr. Every time I do some activity and leave, I always leave wiser. I always learn a lot from the participants, their experience, many things which a person cannot see, the others can point out. Right?
Indeed.
So that's wonderful. And that's why they say teaching equals learning twice.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah,
Indeed,
absolutely. It really helps. Anybody has any other comment?
I want to ask actually, Prof, can we use only one case for TBL, like one case for the discussion, not instead of giving some questions?
No, the basically is, I mean, there are number of now, if you are using this format, which is a TBL format, then we have to go by this way. We have to do the individual readiness assurance test, and we have to do the group readiness assurance test. But if you are doing, for example, problem-based learning, that would be different. Then you are discussing that case and you are identifying the learning needs. But in this format, the individual readiness assurance test and the group readiness assurance test, and then the team application, these are the basic components of a team-based learning. So yeah, so if we want to practice team-based learning, we have to go through this process.
Oh, so when it's not only the meaning that we can do problem-based learning in a more large group.
Yeah, that would be actually difficult, because basically, if you see, the team-based learning is addressing the problem of a large class. So this is telling us how we can do small group teaching and learning in a large class. Because the structure of problem-based learning is very different, and their aim is very different. In problem-based learning, the students are supposed to identify their own learning needs, then go out and search for the information and then come back. So that's very, very different. Even the aim and the outcomes are very different than the TBL. But TBL has some of the advantages of PBL, which mainly is the peer assisted learning.
What about the case we make it like MCQs, vignette scenarios, like you said?
I'm going to do that in next, which is the team application.
Okay.
Where I'm good now, because by this time I have made sure that each of the participants understands the principles of ethical patient care. Now, in the team application, which is the next step, I will give the scenarios, and I see whether, although you have understood it, whether you are really able to apply it. That is the next step. Right, so what we will do is that now you will go back to your rooms again, and I will send you the questions in your WhatsApp, and you will discuss those questions as you have discussed in group just now. And then we will come back to the screen and present that. But this time, the questions are different in the sense that they are focused on the ability to apply those concepts, right? So I will open the rooms and please go back to your previous rooms.
Sir, how much time would we have for this activity?
This would be about 20 minutes.
Fine, thank you.
Yeah. So I have opened the rooms. You can join your rooms while I'm going to send the questions to you.
Recording in progress. Or Dr. Pika?
Have you received the questions?
Yes.
Have
Yes,
you?
sir.
Yeah, check your WhatsApp group. The questions
Yes,
have
sir.
been sent. And
Yes,
you,
sir. Thank-
yeah, and please share the screen so that you can discuss with each other.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Then start with
You okay? Have received the questions in your WhatsApp?
Yeah, I received the questions.
Right. Okay. Okay. Good. You can share the screen and discuss.
Sounds good.
Yes. The medical practitioner must not harm the patient.
Right. I also think so. But if any more discussion on it or any suggestion?
No, it's clear, quite clear. It's non-beneficence.
You are happy? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, good. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
We haven't heard from Miss Sufi. I think we have. Miss Sufi, are you agreed with the option C?
For an unnecessary demand, the doctor will not fulfill it if it's unnecessary.
Okay.
And if it is going to harm the patient, the doctor will not agree to it.
You are okay, this group?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Prof.
We are doing well.
Good.
And Nilofer, you write the answers with you so that you can communicate it to the to Dr.
Miss Aisha, Miss Samina, are you guys there? Should we discuss the questions now? If you've gone
Right. So it's autonomy. What do you think,
Yes.
Dr. Amir?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it's autonomy.
Yes, yes, it's autonomy.
It is
I
autonomy,
agree.
right?
Yeah.
Dr.
And
Aid, you agree
hematologist,
with us?
I agree. Yeah, hematologist agrees here, which yeah makes it for sure autonomy.
Khadija, if you can scroll down so we can go to the next one.
Is group okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Dr. Alam,
कोई अच्छा अप्लाई करना है ना so we are almost done alhamdulillah this time it was
इजी था पहले वो
हाँ this was easier this time
डिस्कशन हुई लंबी तो उस वजह से आसान है
जी
डॉक्टर आयशा कैसा चल रहा है?
सर अच्छा जा रहा है माशाल्लाह और this time is easier because we have been through that first exercise
हाँ,
सिर्फ
वो थोड़ी सी
एक क्वेश्चन
प्रैक्टिस
पे
हो गई।
जी
हाँ,
इस एक
प्रैक्टिस हो
क्वेश्चन में सर हम थोड़े से वो हुए हैं फोर्थ वाले में because B and C are closed
गई। गुड गुड।
the important thing
Interest of the patient because he wants
Yeah.
him to have the best quality of life.
Life,
If
yes,
he's done.
exactly.
preventing harm. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think
So,
it's
so the
beneficial.
beneficence, yeah, because there was a similar example in the article as well. That one, I think it was about a DNR. DNR request that when a doctor is signing the DNR request, he
Yeah.
knows that for a person who is dying, so a DNR would it would reduce his ailment. So, so I think it goes with beneficence
Yeah.
because he's acting in the best interest
सर जब तक ये बाकी लोग वापस नहीं आते, can we discuss something?
जी.
So I was thinking that if we have to adopt TBL as a system, we started this because of the 2020 online issue.
जी.
And we thought, and it was convenient to have the online TBL.
Right.
The face-to-face TBL kar rahe hain, and we have to look for after a class of 150 or in government sector 250 or 300 students.
Right.
So how I'm conducting with my fourth year students in ophthalmology is that I break up the same. We do it in an LGF format. The
Right.
students are in the LGF class, and we
Right.
break them up into 10 batches of 15 students each, which they are already have in clinical batches. So
Right.
either it's 12 or 13 batches. So every
Right.
batch has about 12 or 13 students in them.
Right.
And then in the same classroom, we arrange them into groups.
Right.
And they are given different tests, and the marks of the test are then written on the board. That
Right.
group how much they did it.
Right.
So with regard to resource management,
Mhm.
it is very effective as one or at the most I have two helpers with me who have to help me with the scoring.
Right.
And they don't need to be a medical doctor. I
Right.
take people from my department who are helping me with that.
Right.
So it's very cost effective in that way. I'm not sure that would this be as effective as if it was done in small groups, in actual small groups with separate venues, because a lot of noise and that kind of stuff is there.
Right. No, actually, you see, I have conducted this TBL online with around 20 groups. So this means and each group of 5 students. So this means that we can handle about 100 students or maybe 120 students
with one teacher. Yes.
With one TBL online. The other is actually you can use the same online in face-to-face as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so students can use their computers, and they can you can use the same, let's say, the mentee or any other gaming, and so that would be kind of blended learning where you are using these digital resources. So you can try that, like the TBL online, but
in a large class, yeah.
Yeah, applying in a large group in a class.
I was asking, sir, is there evidence that when you do it in actual physically small groups, and if you do it in a large group with distributing it into a small group, so a small group in a large group format?
I don't think I haven't read any paper on that kind of arrangement. I think you have done it because you need to do it. So
yeah,
so that was necessary for your setup, but I haven't actually read anything like that. But you can try this online, but in face-to-face, atmosphere. You're right. So if you are the specialist there, you can get help of another couple of people who are not necessarily the specialists, but they are helping you in the management. So that should be okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I think as long as the concept is there and it's being applied, so there could be different, scenarios, different setup. But if the IRAT is there, GRAT is there, and team application is there, and it's being properly conducted, that should be acceptable.
The strength of this process, I think, is in the dynamic of the group, the ability of the students to discuss among themselves, and generate more of the opinion, and then extracting from pooling the wisdom and the preparation of each student in a large group. So that is what really puts on quality in this particular method.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I started it soon after the COVID thing, when we have to do things online, and just after one session, the students really love it, and they actually demanded from other lecturers to follow this format. And then I published my experience, that I shared that paper with you in medical education. And we had, I mean, teething problem just for maybe first half an hour or so, because students are so good in computer and the software. So they were actually helping me to sort out any hitches here and there. But after that, it became so smooth. Everybody knew the process, and so it worked very well in our setup. In fact, I found that sometimes it was even better than face-to-face doing it online, because the kind of questions came, and I think some sort of inhibition which student had face-to-face that was not there online, and they were able to ask questions freely. And also I offer them that they can post the question after the session in the WhatsApp group. So it means that the discussion continued to some extent even after the session, if there were some other questions. So that also helped to communicate with each other. Okay, I think we have a couple of minutes. Okay, welcome back, everybody. So we have gone through the team application questions, and now again, it is a teamwork. So one representative of the team would answer the questions on the behalf of the team, and this would be the last component of our TBL session. Right, and okay, it's let me share it with you. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is the first question in our team application. The code is given on the top, 22075984. Choose the ethical principle from the option list provided that most likely has been applied by the doctor in the scenario described. A patient suffering from a viral illness demands prescription for an antibiotic. The doctor explains the dangers of using antibiotic unnecessarily, but patient still insists. The doctor refuses the request. So which principle the doctor has applied? There's 3 responses so far. Okay, so it seems everybody agrees that doctor is trying to prevent the harm to the patient, right? Everybody agrees with that, or is there any difference of opinion?
No, we agree.
All right. Yeah. So basically, it's very clear that doctor is trying to prevent the unnecessary side effects of antibiotics. All right. Okay. The next one. Okay. Yeah.
In that, I actually put the wrong option. I just don't knew.
Sorry?
In that second question, I was supposed to answer A and it was put on C. So
Oh, okay. No problem. No problem. Yeah. No,
it's A from my group.
all right. So all the 5.
That one is
autonomy
from my response,
Yeah.
but it was
Okay.
A.
So choose the ethical principle from the option list provided that most likely has been applied by the hepatologist in the scenario described. Based on the history, physical examination, and investigation, a hepatologist is sure that patient is suffering from hepatitis C. The patient wishes to consult his GP before treatment is started. The hepatologist agrees, right? So it is autonomy, and we see that hepatologist being a specialist still is not hesitant about allowing the patient to go to his GP and get the opinion, right? So that is the autonomy. Yeah, autonomy of the patient. Okay. So next one. Okay, now this one. A doctor refuses to ventilate a 50-year-old patient who is in the terminal stage of breast cancer, as he has only one ventilator which has been reserved for a 70-year-old patient who is undergoing surgery and would need ventilation post-operatively. So code is given on the top. Three responses for yes.
It's distributed.
Right. So everybody agrees this is distributive justice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So in our profession, sometimes we have to make these hard decisions, which might appear cruel to others, but that's what is the distributive justice, that we have to utilize our resources in a better way, right? Okay, the next one.
Curiosity.
Okay, the last set of questions. A 20-year-old is admitted after suffering from motor vehicle accident. While giving history, the father describes at length how his son used to be naughty during childhood and had hurt himself several times. The medical officer listens patiently and calmly. Choose the ethical principle from the option list provided. The most likely has been applied by the medical officer. Okay.
Dignity.
Yes, dignity is two option responses. The other groups, is there any difference of opinion?
Sir, we have missed the question.
Did we miss the question number 4?
Sir, it's not displaying and it's repeating the same question.
Is it?
Yeah, sir.
Sir, we
The
missed
previous
question number
one.
4.
Okay.
Now displaying question number 5. So we have missed number 4.
Okay,
Yes,
I'll go back to number 4, but can we do number 5 now?
No, sir, it's not displaying on the
Oh,
screen.
it's not. Okay, let me.
You have to change the code, Dr. Usman.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
I will change.
yeah,
I changed that code, but
no,
previous one was displaying.
But three groups already responded, so this means
Okay.
it's okay with them.
Okay, I will check.
Yeah, maybe the code. I'll go to question 6 and then go back to question 4. Right, I got 4 responses. All
Wait,
say,
sir.
yeah, all say it's dignity, right?
Dignity, correct.
Right, okay. Let me go to question 6 first, and then I'll go back to question 4. Okay. A physician informs the patient that he is prescribing an experimental drug for him, as at present that is the only treatment available for the illness he is suffering from.
Very costly.
Veracity.
Right. Yeah. The 4 responses on that. All 5 agrees. Okay, good. So let me go back to question 4. This is the question 4, right? It has already been discussed, right?
It's it.
Right. Okay. Now let's complete this this step.
The first one is good.
So can you explain this
Yes, sir,
question?
can you explain it,
Which
please?
one is correct one?
Which you are talking about? Which one?
That's question 4.
So that one, which
Uh,
is displayed in your screen.
Okay. Can you tell me the question? I can go back to that question.
A
Question number
doctor
4, sir.
decides, question number 4, sir, the one that is displayed on
Oh, question number 4. Okay. Is this question you are talking about? Can you see the screen?
Yes, Prof. This is the question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The doctor decides not to initiate chemotherapy for a wide spread cancer colon, just give symptomatic treatment. Okay. Let's see what you think about it. So scenario is a doctor decides not to initiate chemotherapy for a patient for a widespread cancer colon, just gives symptomatic therapy. So there are 4 in favor of beneficence and 2 is non-maleficence. What do others think? What's the argument? Who says this is beneficence? What's the argument? What's your reason to say this is B?
Because it's the best interest of it's in the best interest of the patient to not go for the, maybe he's a stage 4 cancer patient.
Widespread, it's already widespread cancer. So
All
if
right.
best interest is chemotherapy can further harm him.
So we did non-maleficence because we
So
thought
we-
that chemotherapy has also side effects and it will cause further harm.
Yes, sir. We also selected non-maleficence because chemotherapy itself is harmful for patient.
I think that's because it's already widespread and prognosis is already very
Not good.
poor. So this is a kind of palliative.
Palliative care in all, yes, profit is non-maleficence, correct.
Yeah.
Always
it's a-
palliative care is given in advanced
Yeah,
stage.
so it's a palliative care stage. That's
Yes,
why
sir.
it's non-maleficence.
So,
Everyone.
Prof, in our group also
So
was
non-proliferation.
So
in our
yeah,
group was opinion difference between D and C. So
Right.
half of that goes for non-maleficence, thinking that it's harm to the patient to initiate the chemotherapy at this stage.
right. Yeah, I think because the condition is that the patient requires just palliative care.
Advanced stage.
Yeah, so
Sir, in my view, beneficence, non-maleficence, and even dignity would apply to it. To some extent, even veracity. But
Yes,
the
sir.
overwhelming
see-
response
Veracity
would
can
be
also be
beneficence
you see
because
when you actually think about it carefully, there would be some overlap
yes.
In different, but we have to see the major situation that now patient is already in the terminal stage,
Yes.
and the chemotherapy at this stage is not going to benefit.
So it would be, sir, beneficence.
No,
because the symptomatic treatment is being given.
No, it's a palliative care, so they are not giving chemotherapy. They are giving palliative care. So
Therefore, non-maleficent will be answered.
yeah, non-maleficence would be the answer.
Not to bring harm to side effects of the chemotherapy.
Yeah, because we know that the chemotherapy is not going to work.
It is not benefit, no?
It's not going to benefit the patient. On top of that,
It
with
will
the
spread
side
further.
effects, it would further, increase the
Spread.
pain of the patient.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Good. Okay. Right. Now we have covered this step. Any questions? I have few more points to share. If you have any question, we'll discuss that. Otherwise, I'll go and present few more points. Anybody has any question or a comment? Or is everybody tired?
I think it's very clear, mashallah.
All right.
I think you can proceed.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to ask something. That
Yeah.
classroom setup, like in the previous when we were doing IRAC, when
Right.
we said when we present a question and maybe the STEM is not clear, or in the end there's 50-50% opinion and both are actually correct. So
Right.
in scenario, what should the role of the tutor or the facilitator be?
Yeah, I mean, as you see, we have one component, but we said is the appeal. So sometimes the question is not clear, or the wording is not clear, or the model answer given may not be really absolutely model answer. So there is always a discussion. Topics, especially like medical ethics, when there is a lot of overlap and many times the boundaries are not really very clear. So there, sometimes we may not have one absolute answer. It depends upon the condition, upon the situation. So if both groups have a valid reason, so that should be acceptable.
Thank you.
Right. So can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Everybody can
Yes,
see
Prof.
this? Right. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Right. Okay. Now, the things. Let me do it again. Okay, we had this hands-on activity, and now there are just few tips which I really want to share with you. The practical tips of doing TBL. First, explain the answers to question of RAT rather than asking students to do so. The first readiness assurance test, as I mentioned previously also, the major role is played by the lecturer. So we do not want a lot of discussion there, because we want to spend more time on the team application rather than readiness assurance test. So that's one thing. Second, they monitor the student discussion carefully. Sometimes there is unnecessary lengthy discussion and people are repeating the same argument. Then as a facilitator, you have to intervene and move on. The third point is that use scenario as real as possible and address important questions, no minor print. And do not forget to wrap up the session smartly. Next tip is select the students randomly to speak from their team. Even if we have a group leader or spokesperson, we can still select other students to answer so that everybody is ready with the answer and understands that. Right? And make a rule that anyone who speaks to the whole class must stand up or use a microphone. So make the answers and questions audible to everybody. And one trick is that you stay afar from the person who is answering so that they would speak louder and everybody can listen. Because if you are standing close to the presenter and he just speaks to you, others are not able to hear, so they might lose interest. And at first, the speaking student will try to talk to you, so ask them to talk to the whole class. Go for quality of questions and not quantity. it's not necessary to cover each and every aspect of that topic. As long as the questions are really searching, the students would realize soon that they have to read every material quite thoroughly to cover. So it's not necessary that we have lots of questions, but we should have quality questions. Now, coming to the, in the beginning, we were discussing how to persuade students to study before coming in, and one was that marking. And so TBL can be used for continuous assessment. So it gives students a real incentive to learn materials beforehand, attend classes, and contribute to team discussions if they know that their effort is being included in the continuous assessment. Dr. Ayed also mentioned that obviously it has to be in a limited fashion. The readiness assurance process holds students accountable for coming to class prepared and work together in a team. Here I have, that's the marking scheme I recommend and I practice if we are using TBL as a continuous assessment. If you see, I'm giving maximum marks for IRAT for individuals. So the individual effort gets the maximum marks, whereas the team effort gets much less marks. So this encourages that the individual students should come prepared, and they should not take extra advantage of the other team members. So when, let's say, we are doing face-to-face and IRAT, and students are answering and submitting their answer sheets, so that can be used to mark the students. And so once they know that their individual marks are being given a lot of importance, hopefully that would force them to come prepared for the session. The grading is transparent and visible, and the final grade for a student is derived both from the individuals and the team's performance. The advantage is learner-centered with critical faculty input, grading assessment of students' individual score plus team score, peer evaluation, teaching, learning, the feedback can be useful, and immediate feedback in GRAD and team application can be very helpful in clearing the concepts. And there is individual and team accountability in this whole process. A collaborative and productive process promotes group study, sharing of information, teamwork, communication skills. Especially when students are defending their answers, it helps to improve their communication skills. When TBL is conducted correctly, there is little doubt that academic outcomes are equivalent or improved in comparison to other lecture-based formats. So this is one paper which some references I have given for this statement. Unlike typical group learning, the high performers do not suffer by either having to do all the work or poor performers dragging their scores, because if we are giving scores, then the individual scores are given a much importance, right? So here this is last slide, and I want to share some feedback which has been reported in the literature by the students. One student saying that I detest group work, always have, but this is different. Everybody is accountable. Another opinion that I learned more from my peers than I could have learned from the professor. We argued a lot, and this was a good thing. Instead of being tested on minutiae, the application question forced us to really understand, apply all those details. I think with that, we come to the end of this session. I will welcome any questions or comments from anybody.
Thank you, sir. It was a great lecture and a very good activity.
Thank you. Thanks. Now,
Thank you. I liked. It was very informative, and we learned a lot. And it is a lot of advantage over problem-based learning also. And I learned a lot today in game-based.
I'm glad to hear that. Right. Now, what would happen is that Dr. Aisha, who is our coordinator, she will be communicating in the group to get your names, which you want to be printed on your certificate, and then the certificates would be issued. Yeah, Dr. Munaza, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, are there any guidelines that help while deciding a topic or learning objectives that are achievable through TBL? Like, how will we know that when to go for TBL and when not to?
That's a very good question. Now, every teaching learning method has its advantages and disadvantages. There is no single teaching method which can fulfill the needs of all the topics. That's why they said there is no teaching method good or bad. They are appropriate or less appropriate, more appropriate and less appropriate. Now, you are right, we cannot teach everything through TBL. So we have to select the topics carefully, and especially the areas which I said, the zone of proximal development. And the reason, for example, I took this topic of ethical patient care. One, it's not really a very factual kind of topic. There is always overlap, and there is always a discussion. There may not be absolute answers. So that promotes a lot of discussion. So we need to take topics which apply the concepts and then see the feasibility, whether we can come up with real good questions and the discussion. But I fully agree with you that TBL cannot be the choice in every topic. We have to now, if you go through the article which I shared to you, that's from Medical Teacher, that article, that might give you some idea how to select the right topic. Right? Any other questions or comments?
Sir, I would like to thank you for a very elaborate session, and we had the opportunity to experience both the aspects of face-to-face and the online mode of TBL. My request, as you've already said, that the names that as you would like them to appear on the certificates, you can kindly text us in your WhatsApp groups, because some people, when they were registering the names, we could see that they might not want it to be like that, the way they have registered it. And we will be sending you the e-certificates through the emails that you have provided us in your registration form. So if within the next week, if you do not get your certificate, then kindly contact us. This group would be also functional till then, inshallah, and you can email me as well. I'll share my email address as well.
Right, thank you. So the other announcement, the marketing announcement. We will have our next workshop, which would be on the conduct of problem-based learning, and that would be conducted by Professor Dr. Oksana, and we will give the date after discussion with our secretariat in Peshawar Medical College. Thank you very much, everybody, for your participation, and I hope you enjoyed the session, and hope to see you again soon, inshallah. Yeah, Dr. Ayed, yeah, you want to say something?
Sorry, it was just an applaud.
Yeah, no,
really engaging.
no,
In spite of being very familiar with so many details, but I did not feel bored for a moment. So very engaging, 3 hours. Honestly, I wanted to applaud that. That's it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was actually really very happy to know your previous experience, and I know that probably you were here for encouragement rather than learning anything new, but it was wonderful to have you all with all your experience. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much.
Walaikum
everyone.
salam.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.